I'm Paige, 34 years old, and 2 months ago, I woke up in a hospital bed to discover my newborn daughter was being cared for by a stranger, because my own mother chose a casino night over her grandchild. For 9 years, I secretly sent my parents $4,500 every month. That's nearly $500,000. Not once did anyone say thank you. Then came the night I lay in the emergency room with a punctured lung and 3 broken ribs. My baby girl was alone in the NICU, and my mother told my husband, "Paige always has these emergencies. Your sister never has these problems." 3 hours after I canceled every single transfer, my grandfather walked into my hospital room. He carried a thick folder. What he said next changed everything. Before I tell you what happened, if you enjoy stories about standing up for yourself and karma doing its job, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely connect with this story. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Now, let me take you back 9 years ago, to the day I made the first transfer that started it all. I was 25, fresh out of college. My first real paycheck had just hit my account, and I remember staring at the number like it was a miracle. Then my phone rang. "Paige?" Mom's voice cracked. She was crying. "It's your father. He had a small stroke." My heart stopped. "What? Is he okay?" "He's stable, but honey, we don't have good insurance. The medical bills, and we're already behind on the mortgage. They're talking about foreclosure." I gripped the phone tighter. "How much do you need?" "I hate asking you this. You just started working, but you're the only one who can save this family." $2,000 a month. That's what we agreed on. I set up the automatic transfer that same night. "One more thing," Mom said before hanging up. "Don't tell your father. He'd be so ashamed. This stays between us." I agreed. Of course I agreed. What kind of daughter wouldn't help her family? She never said thank you. Not that first night. Not ever. Instead, she said, "This is what daughters do." 3 days later, I scrolled through Instagram. Megan had posted a new photo. She was holding up a Louis Vuitton bag, grinning at the camera. The caption read, "Best mom ever. She knew I needed some retail therapy after my breakup." I stared at that photo for a long time. I almost called Mom to ask about it. Almost. But then I told myself, maybe the bag was on sale. Maybe Megan really was hurting. Maybe I was being selfish for even questioning it. That was the first lie I told myself. It wouldn't be the last. Year 3. The amount climbed to $3,500. "Megan wants to take an online marketing course," Mom explained. "She's finally found her passion. She wants to be an influencer." Year 5, 4,500. "The house needs repairs. Your father's health isn't getting better. You know how expensive his medications are." I never questioned it. I just adjusted my budget, canceled my gym membership, stopped eating out, took on freelance consulting work on weekends just to make the numbers work. Daniel and I had been dating for 2 years by then. He noticed. "Paige, when are we going to talk about buying a place together?" "Soon," I said. "I just need to save a little more." He didn't push. But one Thanksgiving, after we visited my parents, he asked me something that stuck. "Have you noticed your mom never asks how you're doing?" I laughed it off. "She's just busy." She spent 40 minutes telling everyone about Megan's Instagram followers. She didn't mention your promotion once. I didn't have an answer for that. What I did have was a memory. 4 years ago, my grandfather called me out of the blue. "Grandpa Harold." Mom always said he was too busy to see us, that he didn't really care about family. But that day, his voice was soft, careful. "Paige, I need to ask you something. Are you happy? Is she good to you?" I hesitated. Something in his tone made me uneasy. "Yes, Grandpa. Everything's fine." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "If that ever changes, you call me. Promise me." I promised. Then I hung up and forgot about it. I shouldn't have. The pregnancy changed everything. I was 33 when I saw those 2 pink lines. Daniel cried. I cried. For the first time in years, I felt something shift inside me. I started doing math I'd been avoiding. $4,500 a month, times 12, times 9 years. $486,000. I could have bought a house. I could have started a college fund. I could have taken a vacation that wasn't just a long weekend. But I pushed that thought away. What mattered now was the baby. I called Mom. I have wonderful news. I'm pregnant. Oh, Paige! Finally! I was starting to worry you'd never give me grandchildren. I let that comment slide. I had something harder to say. Mom, I need to talk about the monthly transfers. With the baby coming, Daniel and I need to save. I was thinking maybe I could reduce it to $3,000 for a while. Silence. 10 seconds. 20. After everything we've sacrificed for you? Mom, do you know what medications your father takes? Do you know what they cost? I just thought. You thought about yourself. That's what you thought about. I didn't reduce the amount. Before I hung up, I heard Dad's voice in the background, quiet, tired. Linda, maybe we should let her. Robert, stay out of this. The line went dead. It was such a small moment. I almost forgot it. But looking back, I think Dad was already starting to crack. That night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through Mom's Facebook. There she was, just 3 days ago, at a spa with her friends. Cucumber slices over her eyes. Caption, Self-care Sunday with my girls. The same week she told me Dad's prescriptions were bleeding them dry. I stared at that photo until my eyes burned. Daniel found me crying at 2 a.m. What's wrong? Nothing, I said. Hormones. Another lie. They were getting easier to tell. 7 months pregnant, exhausted, still sending the money. Daniel sat me down one evening. He had a spreadsheet open on his laptop. I need you to look at something. He'd tracked everything, every transfer, every excuse, every time I'd said just one more month and then kept going. Paige, this is $486,000. Seeing it written out made my chest tight. That's 2 down payments on houses. That's Emma's entire college fund. That's 20 years of retirement savings. I started to defend it. But they needed, did they? He turned the laptop toward me. Your mom posted about a new living room set last month. Your sister just got back from Cabo. Your dad's medications somehow cost more than cancer treatment. I had no answer. I'm not telling you what to do, Daniel said quietly. But I need you to ask yourself something. If you keep doing this, what does our daughter learn? That her mother is an ATM? That family means giving until you have nothing left? I wanted to argue. I wanted to say he didn't understand. But he did understand. That was the problem. What if I stop? I whispered. What if they hate me? Daniel took my hand. Then you'll know. You'll finally know what you're worth to them. I wasn't ready to find out. Not yet. But the universe has a way of forcing your hand. 2 months later, I was lying in a hospital bed with a collapsed lung, my baby in the NICU, and my mother's voice echoing through my husband's phone. Paige always has these emergencies. Some lessons you learn the hard way. October 17th, Thursday, 9:47 p.m. I remember the exact time because I'd just checked my phone. Daniel had texted, "Drive safe, love you." 36 weeks pregnant, bone-tired from a late meeting. The rain was coming down hard, the kind of downpour that turns headlights into blurs. I was 3 miles from home, the intersection at Maple and 5th. I had the green light. I remember that clearly. Green means go. Green means safe. The pickup truck ran the red. I didn't even see it coming. 1 second I was thinking about a warm bath and sleep. The next, metal screaming, glass exploding, the world spinning. I felt the impact in my bones, in my chest, in the place where my daughter was supposed to be safe. My airbag deployed. Something cracked. Multiple somethings. I couldn't breathe. Each inhale was fire. Through the shattered window I heard sirens. Far away, then closer. My hand found my belly. Still there, still round. But was she moving? I couldn't tell. Everything hurt too much. Ma'am? Ma'am, can you hear me? Flashlights. Voices. Someone cutting through my seatbelt. She's pregnant. We need to move now. I tried to speak. Tried to say, save her first. But no sound came out. The last thing I saw before everything went black was a paramedic's face, young and scared. The last thing I thought was, please, not her. Take me if you have to, but not her. Then nothing. I wouldn't wake up for 14 hours. And when I did, I'd learn exactly what my family was made of. Daniel was in Seattle when his phone rang. He told me later how it happened. He was in his hotel room, reviewing code for a morning presentation. The caller ID said Denver General. Mr. Reynolds, this is Dr. Okonkwo. Your wife has been in a serious accident. He doesn't remember packing, doesn't remember calling the airline, just fragments. Running through the airport, begging for an earlier flight, being told the soonest departure was 6 hours away. Is she alive? He kept asking. Is the baby alive? Your wife is in surgery, emergency C-section. We had to deliver the baby early. She's in the NICU now. And Paige? Punctured lung, 3 broken ribs, internal bleeding. She's critical but stable. Daniel stood in the middle of SeaTac Airport and felt the ground disappear. 6 hours. He couldn't get there for 6 hours. His wife was unconscious in surgery. His newborn daughter was alone in the NICU, and he was 2,000 miles away. He did the only thing he could think of. He called my mother. She lived 20 minutes from the hospital. 20 minutes. She could be there before the surgery ended. She could hold Emma. She could be there when I woke up. The phone rang 4 times. Hello? Mom's voice was cheerful, relaxed. Linda, it's Daniel. Paige has been in an accident. She's in surgery. The baby... Oh my God. A gasp. Genuine shock. Is she okay? I don't know. I need you to go to the hospital. Please, I can't get there for 6 hours. A pause. Too long. Tonight? And that's when everything changed. Yes, tonight. Daniel's voice cracked. Now. Please. Your granddaughter is in the NICU alone. Another pause. In the background, Daniel heard something. Bells. Electronic chimes. The unmistakable soundtrack of slot machines. Daniel, you know Megan is on her Caribbean cruise this week. What does that have to do with... I promised to watch her cat. Whiskers gets anxious when he's alone. Daniel laughed. He actually laughed, because surely this was a joke. Linda, your daughter is in the ICU. Your granddaughter was just born premature. I'm asking you to drive 20 minutes. Paige always has these emergencies. Her voice turned cold, annoyed. Your sister never has these problems. Megan is so organized, so put together. Maybe if Paige wasn't always working late. She was driving home from work, Linda. A truck ran a red light. Well, I'm sure it's not as serious as it sounds. You know how hospitals exaggerate. Call me tomorrow when things calm down. The slot machines chimed again, louder now. She wasn't even trying to hide it. You're at a casino, Daniel said flatly. I'm having a night out with friends. Is that a crime? Your daughter almost died. And she didn't, did she? She'll be fine. She's always fine. A sigh, heavy with inconvenience. Besides, Daniel, you married her. This is your responsibility, not mine. She hung up. Daniel stared at his phone for a long time. Then he did something he'd never done before. He scrolled to a contact he'd saved months ago, just in case. A number Paige had mentioned once, years back. Harold Green. He pressed call. At 78 years old, my grandfather answered on the second ring. I woke up to fluorescent lights and a tube down my throat. Everything hurt. My chest, my arm, my head, even my thoughts felt bruised. A nurse leaned over me. Mrs. Reynolds, you're in the ICU. You've been in surgery. Try not to move. I couldn't speak with the tube, but my hand flew to my stomach. Flat. Empty. Panic. Pure, white-hot panic. The nurse understood. Your daughter is alive. She's in the NICU. She's small but strong. I started crying. Couldn't stop. They removed the tube an hour later. My voice came out like sandpaper. Where's my husband? He's on a flight. Should land in 2 hours. My mother? The nurse hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. No family has come yet, ma'am. No one. My daughter was born, and no one from my family came. I asked for my phone. They'd saved it from the wreckage. Cracked screen, but functional. No missed calls from Mom. No texts. Nothing. but there was one notification, an Instagram post from Megan, time-stamped 3 hours ago, a selfie on a cruise ship deck, cocktail in hand. Caption, "Living my best life, Caribbean vibes only." I put the phone down. "I need to hire a night nurse," I told the attending. "Someone to stay with my daughter in the NICU until my husband arrives." They connected me with an agency. 40 minutes later, a woman walked into my room. "Mrs. Reynolds, I'm Maggie. I'll be taking care of Emma tonight." She was mid-40s, warm eyes, competent hands. "Wait," she said, reading my chart. "Reynolds. Paige Reynolds?" "Yes." "He used to say his biggest regret was not speaking up sooner. I never understood what he meant." She paused, studying my face. "Would you like me to contact him? I still have his number." I shook my head slowly. "Not yet. I need to process everything first." She nodded, respecting my choice. But before she left, she scribbled something on a notepad and placed it on my bedside table. "Just in case you change your mind." I didn't know then that someone else had already made the call. My heart stuttered. "He talked about me?" Maggie stayed while I processed her words. "What did he say about me?" "That you were brilliant, that you worked too hard, that he worried about you." She paused. "He also said his biggest regret was not speaking up sooner." I never understood what he meant. I didn't either, not then. After Maggie left to check on Emma, I lay alone in the dark. My right arm was in a cast. Every breath sent pain shooting through my ribs. But my mind was sharp, sharper than it had been in years. I fumbled for my phone with my left hand, opened my banking app. The transaction history loaded. 9 years of transfers. Automatic, reliable, like clockwork. $4,500 every single month. I scrolled back, and back, and back. Not one thank you text in the records, not one acknowledgement, just money flowing out into a void that was never satisfied. My finger hovered over the settings. Manage automatic transfers. Mom's voice echoed in my head. This is what daughters do. But what do mothers do? What do mothers do when their daughters are bleeding in emergency rooms? They show up. That's what they do. Unless they don't. I tapped the screen. Cancel transfer. Are you sure? Yes. Another tap. Cancel transfer. Are you sure? Yes. 9 years. $486,000. 3 taps. That's all it took to end it. I put the phone down. For the first time in almost a decade, I felt something loosen in my chest. Something that had nothing to do with broken ribs. I should have done this years ago. 3 hours later, my hospital room door opened. And there stood my grandfather. He looked exactly as I remembered. Tall, even at 78. Silver hair cropped short. Eyes that missed nothing. The eyes of a man who'd spent 40 years reading people from a judge's bench. Paige. His voice broke on my name. My girl. I came as fast as I could. I burst into tears. He crossed the room in 3 strides and took my hand. My good hand, the one without the cast. His grip was warm and steady. "I'm here now," he said. "I'm here." I couldn't speak. 4 years. It had been 4 years since I'd seen him. Mom always had an excuse. "Grandpa's traveling. Grandpa's busy with his foundation. Grandpa doesn't really do family visits anymore." I thought... I choked on the words. "Mom said you didn't want to see me." His jaw tightened. "She told me the same thing about you." We stared at each other. Years of manipulation, suddenly visible. "Daniel called me tonight," Grandpa said. "He told me what happened. What your mother said." Shame flooded through me. "Grandpa, No." He squeezed my hand. "You don't apologize. You have nothing to apologize for." He reached into his coat and pulled out a folder. Thick, manila, worn at the edges. "Paige, I need to tell you something. I've known for a while now. About the money." My stomach dropped. "What?" "The transfers, every month, for 9 years." He opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, my bank statements. "I've been watching." "How?" "I have my ways." A ghost of a smile. "Old habits from the bench. I knew something was wrong, so I looked." I stared at the papers. Every transaction, documented. Why didn't you say anything? He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried decades of regret. Because I made the same mistake with your grandmother. I saw problems in our family and stayed silent, hoping they'd fix themselves. She died before I could make things right. He met my eyes. I thought, foolishly, that if I gave Linda enough rope, she might choose to do better on her own, that a mother's love would eventually win out. His jaw tightened. Instead, she used that rope to tie you down for 9 years. She failed, and I won't make the same mistake twice. Grandpa pulled a chair close to my bed. The folder lay open between us like evidence in a courtroom. $486,000, he said quietly. That's what you've given them. I nodded. Speaking felt impossible. Do you know what your mother tells people at family gatherings? I shook my head. That you're too busy for family, that you're selfish, that you never help out. His voice hardened. She stood in my living room last Christmas and told me you refused to contribute to your father's medical bills. My mouth fell open. That's not... I've been paying for everything. I know. He held up a hand. I know, Paige. That's why I started digging. He pulled out another sheet. An email chain printed. 3 years ago, your mother came to me. She wanted me to update my will, leave everything to Megan. What? Her argument was that you already have a rich husband and don't need the help. His laugh was bitter. Meanwhile, you were working 60-hour weeks and sending her enough money to buy a small house. I felt sick. Actually, physically sick. I didn't change the will. Not then. I wanted to see what she would do. He leaned forward. But tonight, Paige, tonight she showed me exactly who she is. Grandpa, I don't understand. How did you know about tonight so fast? He smiled, a real smile this time. Someone called me. Someone who's been watching too. The door opened. I turned, expecting a nurse. It was my father. Robert Martinez stood in the doorway, eyes red-rimmed, looking more broken than I'd ever seen him. I called him, Dad said. I couldn't stay silent anymore. Before I could respond to Dad, the door swung open again. Mom stood there in a silk blouse and full makeup. I could smell her perfume from across the room, the expensive one she saved for special occasions. I learned later what brought her here. Around 2 a.m., Grandpa had called her directly. His voice was ice. Your daughter almost died tonight. Your granddaughter is in the NICU, and I know exactly where you were, Linda. I know everything. That's when Mom realized this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about the inheritance. About Grandpa knowing the truth. About damage control. She hadn't come to see me. She'd come to manage the situation. She froze when she saw Grandpa already there. Dad, what are you doing here? Then she spotted my father. Her expression flickered. Confusion. Then something sharper. Calculation. She switched modes instantly. Her face crumpled into concern. She rushed to my bedside. Paige, my baby, I came as soon as I heard. I glanced at the clock. It was 3:47 a.m. The accident had happened at 9:47 p.m. 6 hours. Linda, Grandpa's voice cut through the performance. You came to the hospital at 4 in the morning. The accident happened 6 hours ago. Where were you? Mom's hand, reaching for mine, stopped midair. The traffic. I couldn't get away from... You were at the Desert Rose Casino, Dad said quietly. I tracked your phone. Mom's face went pale, then red. Then she smiled. That tight, dangerous smile I knew so well. Robert, how dare you? I was with friends. Am I not allowed to have friends? While your daughter was in surgery? Grandpa's words were ice. While your granddaughter was in the NICU? While your son-in-law begged you for help? Mom turned to me. Her eyes were pleading now. Paige, honey, you understand. I didn't know how serious it was. Daniel exaggerates. He always... Mom. My voice came out steadier than I expected. Stop. She blinked. I heard what you told Daniel. Paige always has these emergencies. This is your responsibility. I know exactly what you said. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Don't look at me for help, Mom. I can't save you this time. Okay, I need to pause here for a second. If you're watching this and you've ever had a family member who always had an excuse, who was never there when you needed them but expected you to drop everything for them, I see you. I really do. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever had that moment where you finally stopped making excuses for someone you loved? And if you're new here and enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button. Now, back to that hospital room. The silence in that hospital room was suffocating. Mom stood frozen between me and Grandpa. Her eyes darted from face to face, searching for an ally. Finding none, Grandpa reached for the folder. "Linda, I want you to see something." He pulled out the stack of bank statements and held them up. "This is every transfer Paige has made to your account over the past 9 years. Every single one." Mom's face drained of color. $486,000. Grandpa's voice was steady. A judge delivering a verdict. "Your daughter sent you nearly $500,000. She delayed buying a house. She worked weekends until she was exhausted. She gave up her financial security for you." That's not," Mom stammered. "Don't!" Grandpa's voice sharpened. "Don't you dare lie to me." He pulled out another paper. "You told me Paige was selfish. You told me she never helped the family. You told the entire extended family that she was too busy for everyone." He set the paper down. "You lied. For years." Dad stood in the corner watching. He looked old, defeated. "And you, Robert." Grandpa turned to him. "You knew, didn't you?" Dad's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes. And you said nothing." "I was afraid." Dad's eyes met mine. "I'm sorry, Paige. I was a coward." Mom found her voice. "This is ridiculous. That money was... She offered... We needed..." "You needed?" Grandpa stepped closer. "You needed a spa day? You needed casino nights? You needed to buy Megan a Louis Vuitton bag while your other daughter skipped meals to make rent?" Mom's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. For the first time in my life, she had nothing to say. Mom's shock turned to fury. She spun toward Dad. "You!" She jabbed a finger at him. "You called him? You told him about the money?" Dad flinched but didn't back down. "Someone had to. How could you betray me like this, after everything I've done for this family?" "What have you done, Linda?" Dad's voice cracked. "What exactly have you done? I held us together. I managed everything. You managed to spend our daughter's money while telling everyone she was the selfish one." Dad's hands were shaking. I watched. I stayed quiet. I told myself it wasn't that bad. But tonight, he turned to me. His eyes were wet. "Tonight, Linda was at the blackjack table when Daniel called. I heard everything. She laughed about it afterward. She said Paige will figure it out. She always does." The room tilted. Even knowing what I knew, hearing it spoken aloud was different. Heavier. "I couldn't..." Dad's voice broke. "I couldn't let it go anymore. So I called your grandfather. I told him everything." Mom stared at her husband like she'd never seen him before. "You're choosing her over me?" "I'm choosing what's right." Dad wiped his eyes. "For the first time in 30 years, I'm choosing what's right." Grandpa placed a hand on Dad's shoulder, a silent acknowledgement. Then he turned back to Mom. "Linda, I'm meeting with my attorney tomorrow. I'm changing my will." The color drained from Mom's face. "Dad, you can't... Megan is 29 years old and has never held a job. That's not Megan's fault. That's yours." "But..." "We're done here, Linda." Grandpa's voice was final. "We're done." Mom's composure shattered. "Dad, please, you don't understand. Paige doesn't need the money. She has Daniel. She has her career. Megan has nothing." "Megan has nothing because you never let her have anything," Grandpa said. "You gave her money instead of responsibility, comfort instead of character. That's not love, Linda. That's sabotage." Mom turned to me, desperate now. "Paige, talk to him. Tell him we can work this out. We're family." I looked at her, really looked. This was the woman who taught me to ride a bike, who braided my hair before school, who told me I could be anything I wanted. This was also the woman who spent 9 years taking my money and telling everyone I was selfish, who chose a casino over her dying daughter, who made me feel guilty for existing. Both things were true, and that was the hardest part. "Mom," My voice was calm. I was surprised by how calm. I can't help you this time. But I've helped you for 9 years. I'm done. She started crying. Real tears or performance tears. I couldn't tell anymore. Maybe there was no difference. Grandpa touched my hand. Paige, I don't know if you want anything from me. After all this time. After how I failed you by not speaking up sooner. His voice wavered. But I want you to know. I see you. I've always seen you. I squeezed his hand. I don't need money, Grandpa. I know. I just needed someone to show up. He smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from him in years. You'll have both. I'll make sure of it. Mom watched us. Something shifted in her face. The tears stopped. And in that moment, I saw it. She wasn't sad. She was calculating her next move. 4 weeks passed. My ribs healed. My lung reinflated. Emma grew stronger every day, hitting milestones the doctors said might take months. Life found a new rhythm. Quiet mornings with coffee. Emma's small sounds filling the house. Daniel working from home so he could be close. And no money leaving my account. The first month without the transfer felt strange, like a phantom limb. I kept checking my bank app, half expecting to see the withdrawal, but there was nothing, just peace. Mom called. A lot. Paige, please, let's talk. Paige, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Paige, you can't shut me out forever. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready. Then, one afternoon, the voicemail was different. Paige. Mom's voice was thick, wet. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but please, let me meet Emma. Let me be her grandmother. I'll do better. I promise. I played that message 3 times. Daniel watched me carefully. You're considering it. Am I stupid if I am? You're not stupid, you're hopeful. He kissed my forehead. That's different. I called her back. One chance, Mom. Emma's 1-month celebration. You can come, but this is it. If you mess this up, I won't, I swear. Thank you, Paige. Thank you. The party was set. 20 people, Grandpa, Dad, a few close friends, colleagues from work, and Mom. Daniel helped me prepare. Decorations, food, a small playlist. Are you sure about this? He asked the night before. I looked at Emma sleeping in her bassinet. No, but I need to know, once and for all. He nodded. He understood. We both knew this wasn't really about second chances. It was about closure. The party started at 2. Grandpa arrived first, carrying a stuffed elephant bigger than Emma. Dad came alone. He and Mom had driven separately, which I noticed but didn't mention. Friends filtered in, colleagues. The house filled with warm bodies and warmer wishes. Emma slept through most of it, blissfully unaware of her own celebration. Mom arrived at 2:45, 45 minutes late. She walked in with Megan. I hadn't invited Megan. Surprise! Mom beamed. Megan flew back early from her trip to meet her niece. Megan smiled her Instagram smile. Hey sis, congrats on the baby. I forced a smile back. Thanks for coming. Daniel's hand found mine, a warning, a support. Mom made the rounds, hugging people, exclaiming over decorations, playing the doting grandmother. To anyone watching, she was perfect. But I watched her eyes. She kept glancing at Grandpa, every few minutes, checking his location, tracking his movements. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Your mother's up to something, Daniel murmured. I know. 30 minutes into the party, I slipped into the kitchen for more napkins. Megan was there, on her phone. She didn't see me. Mom, you need to talk to him soon. She was whispering, but the kitchen had good acoustics. I can't keep living like this. I need that money. I froze. I know, honey. Mom's voice came through the phone speaker. I'm working on it. Just give me an opening. You promised you'd handle it. And I will. Trust me. I stepped back, silent. So this was it. The second chance, the apology, the tears. All of it was a play. All of it was about the inheritance. I should have known. I did know. I just didn't want to believe it. I walked back to the living room. Calm. Focused. Daniel saw my face and understood immediately. What happened? Watch. Mom had cornered Grandpa near the window. They were speaking in low voices. She had her hand on his arm, the gentle pleading gesture she'd perfected over decades. But someone had set up the karaoke machine earlier. The wireless microphone sat on the side table, and the speaker system was on. Mom didn't notice. Dad, I know things have been tense. Her voice carried through the room, amplified. Clear. But you have to understand, Megan needs the inheritance more than Paige does. Paige has a husband, a career. Megan has nothing. The room went silent. 20 pairs of eyes turned toward the window. Mom kept talking, oblivious. I'm not asking you to cut Paige out completely, just reconsider the split. It's only fair. Someone coughed. The sound cut through the air. Mom turned, saw the faces, saw the microphone on the table, its red light blinking. The color left her face. She looked around. That's not, you're taking this out of context. What context would make that better, Linda? My colleague Sarah stepped forward. Did I hear that right? You're lobbying for inheritance money at your granddaughter's party? You don't understand our family. I understand plenty. Sarah's voice was steel. Paige is one of the most generous people I know. And you're here playing politics with a baby in the next room? Mom's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. Grandpa stepped away from her. His face was stone. Everyone in this room just heard what I've known for years. His voice carried, clear and final. My daughter sees her children as resources to exploit, not people to love. The room held its breath. I stood up. My legs were steady. My voice was clear. Mom! She turned to me. Tears were forming. Real or fake, I'd never know. Paige, please. This is a misunderstanding. I was just trying to… Stop. One word. Gentle but firm. She stopped. I walked to the center of the room. Everyone was watching. My friends, my colleagues, my family. I could feel their attention like a physical weight. I gave you one last chance today. My voice didn't waver. Not because I thought you'd changed, but because I needed to know for sure. Mom reached for me. Paige, for 9 years, I sent you $4,500 every month. You know what that adds up to? $486,000. $500,000. Gasps. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." While I was sending that money, you told everyone I was selfish, that I never helped the family, that I was too busy for you. I paused, let it sink in. The night I almost died, you were at a casino. Your granddaughter was alone in the NICU. You chose slot machines. Mom was crying now. Real tears, finally. And today, at my daughter's party, you're still thinking about money, about inheritance, about what you can take. I stepped closer. I'm not doing this out of anger, Mom. I'm doing this out of love. My voice softened. For my daughter. For myself. And honestly, even for you. Because someone should have stopped you a long time ago. I took a breath. From today forward, we're done. Don't call. Don't visit. We're done. The tears on her face streaked her mascara. She looked old, broken, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. The silence after my words was absolute. Then Mom exploded. You ungrateful child, her voice cracked. After everything I sacrificed for you, I raised you, I fed you, I gave you everything. You took everything, Mom. There's a difference. Megan stepped forward. Everyone's overreacting. You don't know the whole story. Mom was just trying to… Save it, Megan. Sarah folded her arms. We all just heard her ask her dying father to cut Paige out of the will at a baby's party. What part of that story am I missing? Megan's mouth snapped shut. A man near the door, James, one of Daniel's colleagues, spoke up. Wait, so she sent them $500,000 and they called her selfish? Am I understanding this right? That's what I heard, someone else murmured. The whispers spread, people looking at Mom with new eyes, judgment settling over the room like a verdict. Dad stepped forward. His hands were shaking, but his voice was firm. Linda, we need to go. Robert, we can't just… Yes, we can. He put a hand on her arm. We've done enough damage here. For a moment I thought Mom would fight, scream, make a scene. Instead, something in her collapsed. The performance was over. No one was buying it anymore. She turned without another word and walked toward the door. Megan followed, shooting me a look of pure venom. Just before she left, Mom paused. "You'll regret this, Paige. Someday you'll need me." I met her eyes. "No, Mom. I spent 9 years thinking I needed you. Turns out I was wrong." The door closed behind them. The room exhaled, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. "Okay, I have to ask you something. If you were me, would you have given Mom that final chance? Or would you have cut ties right there in the hospital?" There's no right answer. I'm genuinely curious. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. It really helps this story reach more people who need to hear it. Now, let me tell you what happened after they left. 2 weeks after the party, Grandpa called me. It's done. He'd met with his attorney. The new will was signed, witnessed, and filed. The breakdown was simple. 70% to me, held in trust for Emma. 20% to Dad, because he'd finally found his voice. 10% to Mom and Megan, with one condition. Mom had to complete 6 months of therapy with a licensed counselor before receiving a single cent. "I don't expect her to do it," Grandpa said. "But the door is open. That's the best I can offer." I didn't argue. It was more than fair. The ripple effects came quickly. Without my monthly transfers, Mom and Dad's finances tightened immediately. The spa trips stopped. The casino nights ended. Mom had to sell the new living room set she'd bragged about. Megan's influencer career collapsed without funding. She posted a tearful video about family betrayal that got exactly 47 views. A week later, she got a job at a department store. Her first real job at 29 years old. Dad called me once, alone. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness." "You're right. You don't." Silence. "But thank you," I continued, "for finally speaking up. It was too late. But it wasn't nothing." He cried. I let him. The extended family heard everything, of course. News like that travels fast. Aunts and uncles who'd believed Mom's stories for years reached out with apologies. Some I accepted, some I didn't. And my bank account? For the first time in nearly a decade, I watched it grow. $54,000 a year. Back in my pocket. Back where it belonged. Mom didn't lose her inheritance because of what I said. She lost it because of what she did. There's a difference. 3 months later. Emma is sleeping in her crib. Grandpa is in the rocking chair beside her, reading a novel with his glasses perched on his nose. Daniel is in the kitchen making coffee. This is my life now. Grandpa comes over every Sunday. He's teaching Emma to recognize his voice, even though she's too young to understand. He sings her old folk songs from his childhood. He tells her stories about her great-grandmother, the woman who saw through Mom's manipulation 50 years ago. "She would have loved you," he tells Emma. "She would have spoiled you rotten." I watch them together and feel something heal. The money from the canceled transfers has already made a difference. We paid off the mortgage early, started a college fund for Emma. Took a vacation, our first real vacation in years, to a cabin in the mountains where the only sound was wind through pine trees. Dad calls sometimes. We talk, carefully. He's still with Mom, but something has shifted. He started setting boundaries, small ones, but real. "It's not much," he told me last week, "but it's a start. That's more than most people manage." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm proud of you, Paige. I should have said it years ago, but I'm saying it now." I didn't know how much I needed to hear that until he said it. Healing isn't linear. Some days I reach for my phone to call Mom. Force of habit. 9 years of muscle memory. Then I remember. The mom I wanted to call never existed. The real one chose a casino over her dying daughter. The real one called me selfish while spending my money. That mom, I don't miss at all. 6 months after the party, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Paige?" Megan's voice was small, nothing like her usual bravado. I said nothing, waited. I know I don't deserve this call. I know you probably hate me, but I needed to say something. Still nothing from me. Let her work for it. "I got a job, a real one. I've been there for 3 months now. It's nothing fancy, just retail. But I show up. I do the work. She paused. And I started therapy. I wasn't expecting that. Dr. Winters, she's helping me see things about Mom, about me, about how I was raised to believe I was special and everyone owed me something. Her voice cracked. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. I'm trying. For the first time in my life, I'm actually trying. Silence. Long seconds of it. Why now? I finally asked. Because Dr. Winters asked me a question I couldn't answer. She asked me, when you're old and look back on your life, who do you want to be? And I didn't have an answer. Megan's breath hitched. I don't want to be Mom, Paige. I don't want to end up alone, wondering why no one loves me. I let her words sit. This could be manipulation, another play, another con. But something in her voice felt different. Broken in a way that can't be faked. I'm not ready to let you back in, I said finally. I know. But I heard you, and I appreciate you saying it. A week later, I sent her a text. 2 words. Good luck. It wasn't forgiveness. But it wasn't a closed door either. 1 year later. Mom never called again. I heard through Dad that she's living with an old friend now. The house was sold. Turns out there were more debts than anyone knew. No more casino nights. No more spa days. No more elaborate performances of motherhood. I don't feel happy about it. But I don't feel sad either. I feel free. Megan and I aren't close. We may never be. But she's still in therapy. Still working. She sent Emma a birthday card. Handmade, not bought. A small thing, but a real one. Dad comes to dinner once a month. He and Daniel talk about football. He holds Emma with a tenderness I never saw when I was young. Maybe he's making up for lost time. Maybe he's just tired of being the man he was. Either way, I let him try. And Grandpa? Grandpa is here every Sunday. He's teaching Emma to play chess, even though she still tries to eat the pieces. He's writing a memoir about his years on the bench, and he asked me to help him edit it. You're the only one I trust with the truth, he said. I cried when he said that. The good kind of crying. Last week I was putting Emma to bed. She grabbed my finger with her tiny hand and looked at me with those big, trusting eyes, and I made her a promise. I will never make you feel like you have to earn my love. You are enough. You have always been enough. Family isn't blood. Family is who shows up, who stays, who chooses you, not because they have to, but because they want to. I finally found mine, and it was worth everything I lost to get here. Before I go, I want to share a few things I learned through all of this, not as advice because I don't know your situation, just things that helped me. First, guilt is not the same as love. For years I confused them. I thought feeling guilty about not helping meant I loved my family, but guilt is a tool people use to control you. Love doesn't work that way. Love doesn't keep score. Love doesn't make you feel small. Second, you can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. I know you've heard this before, but hearing it and believing it are different things. It took me almost dying to finally believe it. I hope you don't wait that long. Third, the people who matter will understand your boundaries. When I finally drew a line, I was terrified. I thought everyone would abandon me. But the opposite happened. The people who truly loved me respected my decision. The people who didn't? They just showed me who they really were. And finally, choosing yourself is not selfish. It's survival, it's self-respect. It's teaching your children that their mother knows her own worth. Emma will grow up seeing a mom who doesn't apologize for existing, who doesn't beg for crumbs of affection, who knows, really knows, that she deserves better. That's the greatest gift I can give her. Thank you for staying with me through this entire story. It wasn't easy to tell, and I'm sure it wasn't easy to hear, especially if you've been through something similar. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done differently? Or maybe, what did you recognize from your own life? If you're new here, consider subscribing. I share stories like this one, real stories about standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and finding your people, There are more stories waiting for you in the description below, and remember, you deserve people who choose you back. Not because of what you can give them, not because of what they can take from you, just because of who you are. You're enough. You've always been enough. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.